I'm going to tie a perch persuader that's made of rabbit hair. We're going to use Magnum rabbit strips, and this one's going to be chartreuse color. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap the hook shank with threads. This is just to give perches for the hairs and other materials that we're going to wrap onto the shank of the hook. Cut off that tag end. Then I'm going to use some Loon Outdoors water-based head cement. Skewer these threads down. And next I'm going to put on some polar flash. And what I'm going to do is this polar flash, I don't want, this is going to be the tail, I don't want to extend any further than the diameter of the hook, past the hook. As I've said before, if there's any key to Perch Persuader, you don't want it to be too long and you don't want it to be too thick. Those two things will create issues for you. So I'll trim it up if I have to. And then I'll put a little more cement to lock it down. And then I've cut some strips of some Magnum rabbit strips. First one's going to be white. This is going to be the tail. So I'm going to wrap this entirely around the diameter of the hook shank. With a couple light wraps, just to make sure that it's in place. I want to wrap it completely around if I can. And this Magnum lets me wrap it entirely around the hook shank, which I like. So now I'm going to cinch it down. And this rabbit hair is pretty durable. I've caught over 1,000 fish with a rabbit hair perch persuader. I'm not saying it's in the best condition ever, but it's still fishable. I still have it on my line. I haven't found a reason to change out to put a different on there. So I have not. Got a little bit of hide that's sticking up there. I'm just going to get rid of it. Don't really have to, but I will. And now we're going to work on the dorsal area. For the dorsal area, I'm going to use a piece of chartreuse. This is a Magnum rabbit strip as well. And I really only want to wrap it halfway around, but it is what it is. And I just don't want it to extend all the way to the tail. So that's about right there. Halfway around the hook shank, roughly. And a couple light wraps. And then I can take a look to see what I've got. And that looks pretty good. And then I'll cinch it down. And I'll move the thread up the shank of the hook for our final piece. But first I'm going to put just a little bit of head cement here. And then we got our final piece of rabbit hair. Couple light wraps. Take a look at it. And again, rabbit hair is always going to look kind of weird. It's going to look kind of segmented. It's not going to be perfect, the end product, but it catches fish. So now I'm going to cinch those down. And a little more cement. And finally, I'm going to get some chenille, tinsel chenille. Move the thread all the way down to the hairs, the base of the hairs. Wrap those in. And then I'm just going to wrap this tinsel on the jig head. And I'm going to add just a little bit of bulk near the head of the jig. And that'll do it right there. Now I'm going to finish this off with some opposing wraps to secure this tinsel on the jig head. Cinch it down. This 210 denier lets me cinch it pretty tightly. And now I'm going to cut off and leave a little bit of a tag so I can tie it into the head. Now I'll take that little tag, I'll tie it in, and then a few securing wraps, and then we'll do a half hitch to finish it up. A couple of them. And then some head cement to secure those wraps in. Let that seep in. And there we have it. Take it out of the vise, and here we have the rabbit hair. Alright, I'm going to throw this rabbit hair jig that I've been throwing for about a year and a half. It's pretty torn up, but let's see if we can't catch a couple fish with it. Now, right now everything seems to be on the bottom, and it's not generally I want to see more top action if I'm going to use this lure. They're nibbling it. There he is. He was nibbling it. But that's the rabbit hair jig. Lots of movement.